¿Qué tipo de información?
What sort of information is created? Well, in the case of Mr. C, the entrepreneur who discovers the profit opportunity latent in the maladjustment, it is the information that he can earn 7 monetary units by purchasing a resource which here is squandered and taking it there, where it is highly valued. Not only is this information created, but it is also transmitted or communicated in successive waves in the market. And we will see this together throughout the course. For when Mr. C comes into contact with Ms. B and buys her resource, he is transmitting new information to Ms. B, which alters her map of knowledge. What information does Ms. B acquire ex novo? Well, what do you know? It turns out this resource I thought was a curse is actually worth something.
Yo que era Betty la Fea.
I was Ugly Betty, fat, knock-kneed, covered with pimples, etc. But it turns out I have a certain charm in some situations, and somebody has noticed me.
Me ha cambiado la vida porque me ha cambiado mi...
That has changed my life, because it has changed my knowledge. What knowledge has been transmitted? Ms. B should save the resource she used to waste or misuse because it is in demand at a good price.
Y también transmisión de información.
Information is also transmitted to Mr. A. He was frustrated because he could not achieve his aspired end due to a lack of resource R, which he needed to accomplish this end he so desired. Now he receives the information that the resource is available, that he can go on with his project and complete that stage. And completing that stage is not only an end in itself, it also opens the horizons for many other ends that will occur to him afterward. So, the creation of information from nothing, the Entrepreneurial Act. The moment the entrepreneur recognizes a profit opportunity, information he or she lacked a fraction of a second earlier emerges in his or her mind. The entrepreneur has created something. When Mr. C, for instance, acts entrepreneurially, he transmits part of that information to those involved in the Entrepreneurial Act. Specifically, Ms. B. He communicates to her that she should save the resource she was wasting, as it is in demand at a good price. There are people who need it, and Mr. A can complete his action, because that resource is available. He can go forward with his life projects. Indeed, according to my definition, when we transmit something to someone, we cause that person to generate in her mind information she did not have before, information we had at least partially discovered or created ourselves. When I say I am now transmitting knowledge to you, you must not interpret that in physical terms. It's not as if I had a kind of tube here which I could just connect up and fill your minds with knowledge. No. Instead, I am giving you a stimulus that encourages your creativity. You are practicing economic science yourselves. Though it is true that I am directing you, stimulating you, guiding you, you yourselves are creating and discovering knowledge, and you should be very proud of that. When we transmit something to someone, we enable that person to create or discover information which, in part, we have already discovered ourselves. Here you are, acquiring knowledge, but each of you is acquiring it in his or her own way. You are listening to me, and each of you is applying my words differently, as you immediately and almost inevitably try to adapt them to your own life circumstances, and enrich the seed you are creating. Notice we lack terms to describe such abstract realities. I have transmitted this seed to you, and you will take it with you, and it will continue to germinate. And tonight, as you sleep, it will sink in further. Your subconscious will kick in, and tomorrow you will be different people. Thanks to me? No, thanks to you, because you are creating something through listening to me. That is the transmission or the communication of information. The same is true for audio-visual communication. You are simply using a specific medium. Of course, a picture is worth 1,000 words. But the knowledge you are transmitting is essentially subjective and practical. It is entrepreneurial and inarticulate, and it suggests things and awakens feelings and emotions. There lies the difference between a great film director or a great screenwriter and a blockhead whose only interest is putting a hand into the coffer and receiving state subsidies. However, not only is information created and transmitted, but there is something even more remarkable. The Entrepreneurial Act is coordinating. It coordinates. For once it is performed, people who previously acted with no awareness of each other in a discoordinated manner the person who squandered water upstream on a river when someone downstream needed it, the person who expected to remain single forever and so didn't take care of herself when there was someone who could have been very happy at her side, the person who thought garbage was a curse, the trash you throw away is our mainstay, when if properly treated, some waste can be turned into fertilizer, or the curse of Texas, oil, when, if processed at a refinery, it becomes gasoline and makes the internal combustion engine possible. These situations arise in all areas of life. Two people who used to perform their actions with no awareness of each other, in a maladjusted, discoordinated manner, learn. They learn, and in the best way possible, that is, motu proprio, of their own volition. They do not learn because they are commanded from above to attend classes at certain times, but because they realize learning is in their best interest. They each learn to discipline their behavior. And do you know what disciplining your behavior means? It means tightening your belt. And I'm going to tighten my belt, if I have another hole left for the buckle. We learn to discipline our behavior. To sacrifice and to make an effort in connection with another person. And we learn to do so in the best way possible to learn, spontaneously, with the idea that we will then better achieve our goals. And that is what makes life in society possible. From the time we get up in the morning and at 6 a.m. somebody has left milk for us, do you think it's enjoyable to get up at 4 in the morning to bring us our newspaper and our milk? Do you think it's pleasant to change the diaper of someone who is ill or elderly, or to collect the garbage, etc.? And yet we do these things happily because we each learn to discipline our behavior in terms of the needs of others. We do so without anyone's commanding us, without reading it in the official state gazette, without the direction of a public official, but simply in our pursuit of entrepreneurial profit. When we discipline our behavior and save something we find unpleasant, and do so happily because we're going to sell it at a good price, we are acting in tune with the needs of others we may not even know, and that is the most amazing thing of all. We may never meet them. I will never meet the person who made my watch, nor the one who made my shoes, nor the one who enables me to see with my contact lenses. There is merit in helping our neighbor, but it is relative because our neighbor is near us. And if he starts to cry, almost everyone will feel his heart soften and hand him a little money. What really has merit is to help millions of people you have never met and will never meet. People in another part of the universe. And that is what we do every day in the capitalist process of the globalized world. A process driven by entrepreneurship. The act of coordination or adjustment, all maladjusted behavior, whenever a human being acts without an awareness of or against the interests of others, this maladjustment takes the form of a profit opportunity which remains latent to be discovered by an army of entrepreneurs, each and every one of us. This discovery can be made by the people involved or by a third party who, the moment he or she notices the profit opportunity and acts to take advantage of it, triggers the effects of the creation of information, the transmission of information, and coordination or adjustment. A little later, we will take another step and explain that in the majority of entrepreneurial acts, this do ut des, this exchange, is expressed as a price in monetary units. We will explain that the information embodied in prices is transmitted in successive waves, so to speak, throughout the entire market, and it permits the multilateral coordination of millions of people. A simple price transmits, in a highly compressed form, a huge volume of practical knowledge, which facilitates the coordination of all human beings. Let's imagine there is a forest fire in Brazil, and as a result, the world's stock of wood decreases, and in turn, the price of wood increases. Without our being aware of what has happened, without our knowing about the fire, nor its causes, we will all discipline our behavior, and instead of buying a wooden pencil, we will buy a plastic one, etc. Everyone will tune his or her behavior to the new circumstances. Furthermore, we will see that in the face of global warming, etc., the spontaneous market process alone can offer a solution to all the problems and challenges which arise. The spontaneous market process, and not organization, planning, or social engineering from above.